Hello everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight for a craft night with friends. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners. And I'm here every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So tonight, I'm hoping we can finish up our little butterfly here. We left off last night with doing all of these lazy daisy stitches, and hoping that yeah, we'll finish it up. So I have one more lazy daisy stitch here, then we have a whole pile of French knots everywhere, and then down here we gotta trace these two-letter B's yet. So I'm gonna start with yeah, let's try that last lazy daisy stitch. And actually there's a whole pile of French knots, so maybe I'll just start up here, get all the French knots along the way, and then get the lazy daisy, and then just keep getting the French knots. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna start out with the dark pink, and it looks like I have 3 strands already here. Hello, River City Creative. Nice to see you. Happy Thursday, everyone. All right. Let's find my needle. Here we are. We were just watching the Olympics. I'm at my parents' house, on location again at my parents' house. All right, I'm gonna weave in the end right here. And we've been watching, like John and I haven't watched any of the Olympics so far. Hey Sally. And so we started watching them here, and we watched, oh god, now I forget his name, the ice skater guy that got gold last night. We got to see that last night. That was really fun. I used to love watching ice skating, which, you know, everyone in the 90s, that was the you know, whole thing of the Olympics was ice skating. Anyway, I forget his name now. Is it Nathan? Something like that. Anyway, he was great. And now we're watching Shaun White and the rest of them do the half pipe. It was fun. All right, French knot. It's kind of fun learning all those different sports and what all the rules are, and, you know, then judging them as if we know what we're looking for. But sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, that was clearly, like, look how high that guy got off of the ground or whatever, you know, that's clearly more impressive as a layman than this other thing. And oftentimes it's judged that way too, so it's just kind of fun. All right, I got my little French knot in the middle there. Cute. All right, so I'm just gonna keep going down. I'm using my Stitch and Color Guide here as a guide. I mean, we've been kind of loosely using this. We've been using other colors, and we did the color tinting, so we colored this in with colored pencils first, which is kind of fun. And yeah, I think we'll finish them up. Oh man, you guys, I was on a finishing project roll today. On just random projects. So I brought a ton of projects to my parents' house here. And I don't know why. They're just like all my little projects that are hanging out around, and I'm like, if I do some of these, that's awesome. If I don't do any of them, then whatever, that's fine too. But I should have a show and tell tomorrow. Today I started with, hold on a sec, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, I just couldn't see my pencil line anymore. I started off with this crocheted, like winter hat that my brother made. but it had like, it just needed 2 more rows of crochet. It was just a tiny hair short. I mean, it was just kind of, it looks right, but man, when you're outside in the cold, I just needed like 2 more rows of crochet on the bottom. So I got a crochet, which I feel like I haven't done in ages. Even if it was just like 2 little rows on a hat, that felt really fun. So I finished that up. I actually only added the rows to the back, and I added a couple of rows on the back, so it actually kind of tilts down in the back, so it covers my ears and the back of my head kind of nicely. So I did that. So that's like a project done. And it's just so stupid. It's something that takes, hardly any time. But it's one of those things that just sticks in the back of your head and, taking up space. And it, is a thing laying around and not done yet. So I don't know, just getting that done is just like such a relief. And then the other thing I did was I'm currently doing this. I put a little edge, like a red edge, knit edge on the collar of my that sweater of my mom's that I cut in half and added cuffs to. I added a little red collar piece. So I'll have to share that tomorrow too. Oh, T-Bird says, I miss watching ice skating back in the day with Scott Hamilton. And then Sergio and Katerina, yep. And then after that, then you got like the Christy Yamaguchi stage and Nancy Kerrigan and all that. And then you have like Michelle Kwan and everything, all that. That's all like the heyday of all of that. And yeah, all that's really fun. But dang, now they're doing like quad axles and all this crazy stuff. So that was just kind of fun. That was our last night. Oh yeah, you love crocheting. Totally know the idea of finishing a project. I know it's just day to day with Dana. Yeah, it's just so silly because it's just like the dumbest little project. It's not even a project. It's just some quick fix or whatever. But it's like those little things that are like lingering in the back of your brain, taking up space, and just like deleting them from that is like a huge mental relief. So the other small projects, I have like a little tatting piece that I want to do. My mom's been doing a ton of tatting, and she did like this really cool macrame piece. I should take some images of those tomorrow too. There's our little feller here. Let's get some more French knots. That was our last Lazy Daisy. But I also brought the I Love Home quilt from, God, years ago now. And I'm finally going to start quilting that, hopefully. And I'm actually going to leave it here, I think. So I'll quilt it while I'm here, whenever. Oh, here's that one that I messed up. So I'm going to put this one down here. This one was supposed to be the dark pink, and this was supposed to be light pink, but I messed it up. So we're just switching those around. I also brought a pair of jeans to hem. Oh God, that would be a huge mental load off my brain, having that pair of jeans to actually wear. So that's gotta happen tomorrow. But now I'm like on a roll. I'm like, ooh, now I want to finish all of these tiny projects. So I'm feeling good. But with that sweater, my mom's sweater that I updated, that's the one that I have on TikTok and stuff. So I added that red collar to it, and I'll show you guys that tomorrow. But I still want to print out that little text message that my mom sent me that has like the history of the sweater. I want to print that out onto like printable fabric and hand stitch that to the inside of the sweater yet. So I'm thinking maybe we can do a little bit of that tomorrow. Then the sweater is truly finished at that point. Well, I guess unless I decide at some point to add pockets, but I think I'm kind of good with it right now. I've been wearing it a lot, all the time when it's cool, which is now. All right, so it looks like down here, so I got all the dark pink ones in the wings up here, but it looks like where the dark pink ones are down here, I've exchanged that with the purple because I did the purple on the outside instead. So I think that's probably it for the dark pink. Yeah, I think I'm done with the dark pink because I switched it with purple, and then we'll do the light pink. We'll do some more light pinks down here where all the light pinks are. Then all the rest of these dots are green, so we're going to be bringing back some of this green. You know what, we could bring in some of this orange. Yeah, I kind of like the green. We're going to do the orange for the letters down here, even though it's not in any of the rest of it. But I think that's okay. Unless we have it in here. Yeah, I don't know. Let's one thing at a time. Let's weave this in, and we'll do the pink and the purple, and then we'll worry about the green. And Brian Boitano, he was an ice skater, right? He's not the diver. No, that's Greg Louganis. But that's like the same time period. But like Brian Boitano and Brian Orzo, right? No. There was another Brian ice skater, but he's one of the coaches for the South Korean guy last night. Brian Orzer, not Orzo, that's the pasta. But he was at that same time as like Mark Hamilton and all that too, right? Or Scott Hamilton and Mark Hamilton. Scott Hamilton. Yeah, that's like when ice skating was like everyone had to watch all the ice skating. Okay. Next up, let's what did I say? Let's maybe finish these little purples. There's like hardly any left. I think I have, oh yeah, I have a whole extra piece here. So the purples, I just literally have like 4 French knots over here. We must have just run out of it. That's why we didn't finish before. So yeah, I don't see an extra piece of floss laying around. So we'll get those purples first, then they'll be done. Then we have a couple little pinks, and then theoretically the rest are all green. Unless we do decide to add some of that orange. Oops, I'm like looking for the eye of the needle there. It's not on that side. Let's flip around. Okay. Let's weave in down here. Yep, this side. Back's looking pretty clean still, I think. And now it's that new style of scoring for ice skating too. I guess it's not new. It's been around for probably a decade now. Who knows? But it's still like confusing. But now I think we're just starting to get it. Like they're showing the like what is it called? Not the technique, the or challenge, or whatever the skill is that they're trying to do. That skill comes on, and then they had show like the base level, and then like whether they did better than the base or lower than the base, and I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Clearly I don't totally know what the heck I'm talking about, but it was fun trying to figure it out last night. Gosh, but you know, everything's on super late because it's all overseas, so we stayed up way later than we have in a while watching ice skating, but it was fun. All right, I keep glancing into here to know what stitches go where, because it is just like, you know, a bunch of dots drawn on here. So I keep glancing down there to see which ones, and I'm replacing the dark pink ones here with the purple here. Doing our little French knots. And one more. Can't quite reach that one. All right, I think that's it for the purple. Yeah, I think that's nice. And then we'll bring in some of that light pink, and I think that will kind of make the wings like go together a little bit more. Because right now we have like all the pink and all the purple, but I think bringing in some of the pink to the purple will be good. It'd be actually kind of fun to like watch. I'm sure it's on YouTube, like some old like YouTube videos and stuff of Scott Hamilton and those like older Olympics. That would be kind of interesting to watch, because there's like, wow, he did a triple axel, and that's like everyone like has to do that now, and that's like, I don't know, it's just fascinating. Like all the sports are pushed every year, and I mean they're the same like ages as they were back then and stuff too, so it's just amazing like how much things excel forward. It's, I don't know, it'd be neat to watch some of the old ones again. Oh, Nicola says, I hate French knots. They never work for me. I've been stitching for 25 years. Let's go over the 3 things you may be doing wrong with the French knots. We did this last night. I always kind of like giving this demo of the 3 things you might be doing wrong, but why don't we do it again? So this might help. So first, let's get, I'm gonna get 3 strands out here, and then we'll do our little demo, which actually is good because I think we'll get this done a little faster than I thought tonight. So we'll do that. So there's 3 things that I feel like, at least for me, were the, like, once I got over these 3 things with French knots that I was doing wrong, then I sort of got it. So I'm just gonna start. These won't be my, so I'm gonna stitch on the dots that I already have here, but I'm gonna cut them out when I'm done. So I'm just gonna stitch them now for a demo, and then we'll go back and I'll do the right colors and stuff. But all right, the 3 things you may be doing wrong with a French knot. So you might be doing 1, 2, or all 3 of these things, or maybe none. And if that's the case, I'd love to see like like if you do a video or something of trying them out, because then maybe I can figure it out. But typically it seems like it's been one of these 3 things. So, all right, I'm gonna just come from the front here, just temporarily here. Okay, first, so here's my first dot that I'm gonna do. So the first thing, so I'm gonna do one right now. I'll go slowly and kind of talk my way through on how I like doing French knots, and then I'll show you the 3 things that you might be doing wrong. So, all right, I like coming up on one side of my dot, and then I hold the thread with my left hand, and I'm actually gonna point my needle towards my left hand. It's pointed away from the fabric and towards my left hand. I'm gonna go around the needle twice with 2 loops. So I can either do it by like with the needle, like going like this, or I can actually, you've probably seen me with some of these, I actually just go around twice like that. I'm just wrapping it around with my hand. So twice. Then I'm gonna hold those loops with my right finger there. And then at that point I can let go. I actually kind of like swooping all the thread out of the way. And now at this point, I point the needle towards the fabric. And this is the first time I'm pointing the needle towards. And now I'm gonna go on the opposite side of that dot. So I'm actually crossing over that dot. So I have some fabric in the middle. And I'm only gonna go halfway with my needle. It's nice to set it on a piece of, on a table or your lap while you do this, but I'm only going halfway in, and I can let go of those loops now. And I'm gonna pull the thread so that those loops now go down the needle and are resting like tightly against the base of the needle and the fabric. So that's what it looks like there. And now I'm gonna put a finger or my thumb on those loops, whatever I can reach. And now I'm gonna pull my needle through slowly. And by having my thumb on those loops, they don't get away from me. So that's a French knot. So that is how I do my French knots, just nice and slowly like that. So here are the 3 things you may be doing wrong. First thing, I'm going to start on this one. You may be doing everything else right, but you might be doing just these couple little elements. So I'm coming up on one side of that French knot. First thing you might be doing wrong is pointing your needle towards the fabric instead of away from the fabric. Oh, you think you see what you've been doing wrong? Oh, that's awesome, Nicola. So I'm going to go through the 3 things and let me know if it's any of these 3. So instead of pointing towards my hand with the needle, I am the wrong way is pointing towards the fabric. So I'm going to just do everything else right. I'm going to make my loops, and I'm going to go on the other side of that dot. We're going to tighten up the threads, and I'm going to pull this through. Oops, now I got myself in a knot. There we go. And here's what you're left with. So you're left with just one tiny little stitch. You don't even have a knot. It is just like a small little, like a little seed stitch. It's just one tiny stitch. That's what happens if you point your needle towards the fabric. So we need to point away from the fabric. So that's the first thing you might be doing wrong, pointing towards the fabric instead of away. So again, you want to point towards, wait, I said that wrong. You want to point toward, you want the needle to point away from the fabric towards your hand. You don't want your needle to point towards the fabric. So if you point your needle towards the fabric, you just end up with that little stitch. So that might be the first thing. Oh, you point the needle down. Okay, so that might be it, Nicola. So if you end up with just that one little baby stitch, you're pointing it towards the fabric instead of away. So I'll just do it again. So you're gonna point it away towards your other hand. And then you're gonna do your loops. And at this point, so it's at this point that I pointed towards the fabric. So I'm pointing away from the fabric, do my 2 loops, hold them in place, and now I turn and go towards the fabric. So that's the point that you turn towards the fabric. All right. Second thing you may be doing wrong with your French knots. All right, so I am coming up in my French knot here, so I already did that. I came up, now this time I came up in the dot. So here's the second thing you might be doing wrong is going in and out of the exact same hole. So you can see this other one, well, I'll show you in a bit, but I cross over the dot. I don't actually go in the same hole. So if you go in the same hole, so I'm gonna do everything else right. I can't see. I'm gonna go in the exact same hole, pull it tight. But if you go in the exact same hole, you risk pulling your knot all the way through to the back. So now my knot's back here, it's hanging out there. I'm not gonna be able to untie that easily. I've pulled the knot through to the back. No good, we do not want that. So how I think of it, we have all these dots. So instead of going right in the middle of the dot, like I did, I will come on like the lower right-hand side is how I like doing it. So you can see I'm not right exactly in that dot. I'm right on the lower right-hand side. Now I'm gonna do my loops, point the needle back towards, and I'm gonna actually cross over that dot and end up in the upper left. So I always start in the bottom right and end up in the upper left. You can just do whatever, as long as you're kind of crossing over that dot. And that makes it so that you have a couple little threads right in between where you exited the thread or the fabric and you're entering the fabric. So you have a few fabric threads in between, and that's gonna block your knot from, going through to the other side. So that is the second thing you may be doing wrong, or one might be doing wrong with the French knot, is going in the exact same hole, which risks pulling that knot to the back. That sucks when that happens. All right, third thing you might be doing wrong is basically not holding your loops in place. So let's do everything else right. I'm gonna do my loops. I'm gonna go on the opposite side. I'm gonna do it exaggerated here, but this is one of the things. So I did not pull my thread tight against the needle, and I didn't pull it tight against the fabric here. I'm just letting it be. And you might end up with something that looks like this, like a really loop-de-doopy French knot with all of the big floofs. So that happened because you basically let the floss get away from you. What I do instead is, okay, I'm flipping the needle towards the fabric here. So at this point, I go in halfway, the needle halfway, and this is where I pull those loops so they're tight against the fabric and tight against the needle. And it's the holding in place here. So not everyone does this, but I just like it. I find my knots end up being pretty good each time. But I hold those loops in place, so even now I'm not letting them get away from me. They're not allowed to just like roam. They're staying there until I pull the thread all the way through, and then we got our nice knots. And even if I hold them down, so let's say I do a knot and I still pull them tightly to the fabric, but now I don't do anything. Now if I just pull through, I still risk them kind of getting away from me. And sometimes they can be a little looser. Like this is just a tiny, tiny little bloop on the end, but it's still not as nice as my other ones. And it's just because, you know, I'm not holding it down. I really do like holding those loops in place. So those are the three things, at least that, as far as I know, I'm sure there's more, but those are the three things that I've kind of found are the kickers for people. So typically you're doing at least one of those three things to get French knots that you're not 100% happy with. So, all right, there we go. I hope that helped a little bit. I'm going to actually cut all these out now, and we are going to do the French knots for real. So I'm going to just cut all of the little pink threads back here. But man, when I figured out some of those, I'm like, oh, that's what I've been doing wrong this whole time. And because it's always tricky, like the French knots are always a tricky one to get, I feel like. So, oops, I just put this in my garbage pile. This one's stuck here still. Let's snip. But yeah, so now I'll go and do all my other French knots here. Yeah, so let me know if you give those a try and if they work this time. Oh, Day by Day with Dana says thank you. I think I figured out from your tutorial just now what I was doing wrong. Ugh, excellent. Oh, good. That makes me happy. What do you think it was? If it was one of those, just out of curiosity. All right, I just have 3 of these pink ones here, so guess I'll just weave in up here. I might actually have to get another piece of thread for the other ones, but that's okay. 1. Yeah, those are tricky little buggers, those French knots. And they're in like so many patterns and stuff too. Oops. Pulled the needle off of my thread here. And there's different types of knots and stuff too, so it can get confusing. But the French knot is like the one that I see in most patterns. All right, we'll start down here. One. Like, I've seen people do other things than hold down the loops. I don't know. I feel like holding down the loops works well for me, but some people just don't do that, but that's just so scary to me. I've seen other people kind of hold it back here like this, but I don't know. I don't get that either. Oh, you think, Day by Day with Dana says, I think I wasn't holding the loops down. Oh, when I'd go to pull the needle through. So you're getting those extra bloops, like those extra like floopy circles and loops on them. Yep. That is a very familiar feeling, getting a whole pile of knots that look like that. And they're hard to get out. That's the problem too with French knots. So it's a bummer, like if one gets wonky, because they're hard to pick out and everything. All right, I think that's it for that side. There are 4 on this side. I don't know if I have enough to do all that, because I kind of have to. Let's jump over here, and I'm trying not to cross the body to get to the opposite side. So let's just go down. Oh God, I really hope I have enough thread for this. So I'm gonna pop back up here, and now I'll try and do those other. There's 4 over here, but French knots kind of take up a lot of thread. So let's see if we can do it. Oh, it'd be such a bummer to just have to get like more thread for like 1 knot. So we're gonna try and force it here. Okay, 1. Yep, Linda is asking, do I draw my own pictures? I do. So all of our patterns they're all drawn by me, and we do new ones every single month. And this is from our ABC collection of the whole alphabet, which I actually did like 10 years ago. And this is the first time we're planning on doing the whole alphabet as a stitch along, and it's crazy that we haven't done that earlier, but it's kind of like the 10-year or so anniversary of these ABC designs. Oh, we're actually gonna have way enough thread for this. Ooh, that makes me happy. All right, and last one is right here. And then in theory, all the rest of these are green, which I think is kind of cute. I was thinking of introducing this color, which would also be cute, but I kind of like the green. Let me grab some of that again. Here's the green. I mean, the orange is pretty. Maybe I do want some orange. Maybe the green ones that were supposed to be green down here, maybe we do those orange, and then it can stay green up here, maybe? That'd be kind of cute, because I do want to trace the letters in B, or the letters in B, the letters B in the orange. I don't know why, I just think it looks kind of cute. But it would be nice to bring some of that back into the butterfly. So maybe the dots that were all green in the bottom area where we've done purple, maybe those we do the orange. I think we'll do that. All right, getting ahead of myself again. I'm still on this last French knot here. There we are. Cute. Okay, let's weave in the ends. And let's see, I think we'll do the green first. Then we'll end with all that orange. Do green and orange on all the wings. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Yeah, I just want some of that orange in there for sure, so that'll be good. Okay, and this is probably not quite enough thread to save. That'll go on my junk pile. Cute. All right. A little bit of green here. This is maybe enough for all of the upper wings here. Let's see. So what would be nice, I kind of like mapping it out a little bit, and I don't want to cut straight across the body. So I'm thinking if I start at this one, I could go like around clockwise and end up here, and then I can jump to here, go around the top of the head, and then get the rest of this like going clockwise this way. Yeah, and then I can weave in there. All right, so that'll be the path I take, I think. All right, so I'm gonna weave in right here, I think. Woven a lot of threads in there. Maybe getting to be a little much, but that's okay. And again, I'm weaving in all the ends so I don't have knots on the back, because I don't I hate when my thread catches on those knots, and then I've stitched like 20 more stitches, and then realize that I don't have my thread's caught on some crazy knot on the back. So I like just weaving in the ends instead of tying knots. All right, one. All right, yeah, I'm going around the world here. I think this green will bring, in a little bit more of this green idea again from the body. I think the color tinting, though, is looking nice. So, when we just did when we first started the color tinting, it looked kind of crazy with just the colored pencil in. Like some places it looked like a little much, and it just looked kind of weird and maybe, I don't know, not quite like the butterfly, but like really by adding all of the stitches, now it's just all pushed back. All that extra color that we did with colored pencil just really got pushed back to the background, and it's just really subtle. Like it's not the first thing that screams at you that we colored this in with colored pencil, right? It's just like that subtle little extra glow to everything. I think that was really fun. We should do that more often. How did we do to the tinting? Crafty Jam, we did that before we stitched anything. So we transferred the design to fabric, and I just did that by tracing the pattern. And then what you do is just, you can use any colored pencil, so just normal colored pencils. You can also use crayons, just normal crayons. And I tested on the side, so I tested a bunch of colors on the side, because sometimes they go on a little bit differently than what they look. So I kind of picked the colors that I liked. And then you just go really lightly. I kind of go in like little circles. You just very lightly color, in here I did around the edges, but you can fill in the whole shape too. Like here we filled in quite a bit, and the letters we filled in all the way, but just really lightly with colored pencils, and then you can keep layering it to get it darker and darker. If you start too dark, then it just kind of, you get some harsh lines, but if you start just like really lightly and color it in, I find that way works the best, and you can just keep adding layers and layers. So then you put a paper towel on top and press, and that will kind of take all the wax out of the colored pencil or crayon. And that will just kind of leave the color. And we actually did test this. The color stayed pretty well in the wash too. I mean, I haven't tested anything this big, but I did test a smaller piece that I color tinted in the same way, and the color stayed through the whole wash. So it is, at least semi-permanent. So I was impressed with that actually. But yeah, so you're pressing it to get a little bit of the wax out, and then that's it. It might look a little weird at that point. It shouldn't look really any different than when you colored it on, but it really, once you add the stitching to it, that's when it really, I think, makes it look really nice. Do you have to iron over the paper towel, or do I just press? I do it with a paper towel. I think what I did is I might have put the paper towel on first and then press the back of it, but the paper towel is just kind of there to kind of, I guess, collect the wax. You can actually kind of see some of the tint come off onto the paper towel. Yeah, I think I put the paper towel down and then pressed the back of the piece onto the paper towel. It probably wouldn't hurt to put a paper towel on the back too. But anyways, that's how we did it. And we've only done it a few times before, but it's been really fun every time. And I actually think this is the best time. It looks the best on this piece than the other pieces that we did. Just that little subtle color. I think the letters turned out really cool, but it adds so much when you add the stitching to it, I think. And I added a few little swirls of pink on the wings here that I pressed a little harder down. They're kind of hard to see in this view, but yeah, they just ended up being really subtle, extra little details. So I'm having fun with it for sure. But I really like how it looks on his body here to just a little glow of color. Something that you might not even notice at first. Just another fun little thing to play around with embroidery. All right, we're gonna have just enough thread for this, I think. Not too many green French knots on this side. There, and then way the heck down here. Yeah, and then I'll do the orange down here, and then we'll outline it. I think I'm just gonna outline it in the back stitch like how I did the outline of the rest of this guy. And then right here. Oh my gosh, we're almost done with this, you guys. Exciting. So this is our first month of working on this project. This is gonna take the entire year. We're gonna be doing 2 letters a month. So the first week of the month and then the second week of the month, or full week, we'll be stitching these. Next is the letter C for cat. And we did C for cat and D for dog. Those will be the next month's letters and designs. And we'll actually be sewing this into a quilt, and we're going to be using the quilt as you go method for that. We're not starting it this month, but we will soon. I'll send out more info on that soon. I'm figuring all that out yet. But when we have an extra day, like we're going to get done with this tonight, so we'll have tomorrow free, basically. But in the future, when we have extra time because we finished our embroidery early, we will be starting the quilting process for these. So theoretically, I'm going to make a pile of small quilts out of the letters, and then we'll sew all of those smaller quilts together into a larger quilt. That's kind of the quilt as you go process. It's kind of a neat process, but it saves a lot of time at the end because you've already quilted it, which just basically means sewing the layers of batting and the front and the back of the quilt together. Yeah, you iron, exactly. So you iron to melt the wax into the paper towel, basically. Yeah. Which is, I think, probably more apparent with crayon. I think we did a test the first time we did this, it was maybe a couple years ago actually already, which is crazy. But I think we did test crayons and colored pencils when we did that, and I think they both worked fine. I mean, I think with colored pencils, you can just be a little bit more delicate with it, but I think they both worked. And like I said, I tested it on Monday. I tested it in the wash, and the color stayed in a full, like, aggressive wash and dry cycle. It stayed just fine. I mean, if I had to guess, I would think it would fade after a while, like after a lot of washings. But I don't know. I was impressed at how well it stayed with that first one. Oh, how does one get started to do this? Well, we have a bunch of beginner kits, and I do demos almost every night on it. But you start, like, really to start, you just need a piece of fabric and a needle and some floss. It helps to have a hoop to hold everything in place. But yeah, all of our kits have everything in it ready to go, and I do demos on how to do all the stitches. One thing you might want to do, we do have a free kind of how-to series on our website. It's our free raccoon embroidery, and it has 14 different embroidery stitches, and I have videos that get emailed to you, and they're on our blog of how to do each of those stitches. That's a great place to start. And then all our kits have instructions and stuff too, and I'm always here in the evenings to help out as well. All right, so now everywhere there's a green dot, I'm gonna make it this orange. What's your favorite white fabric to embroider on? Oh, you do have fabric crayons. Ooh, yes. So that would be perfect to use to try this out with. I mean, I don't have a definitive answer if a lady with dementia can also do it, but theoretically, all you're doing is basically, I always kind of like saying, like, if you can color, you can embroider. All you're doing is putting stitches along a line. And, you know, we're almost done with this, but when we started, we just had an outline of all the stitches. It's kind of light here, but we do have iron-on patterns. And our kits come with the pattern already pre-printed. So all you're doing is taking thread and a needle and going along the lines. And even if you just know a single stitch, you can just go along those lines and do the same stitch for the whole thing. That's totally fine. I mean, we're doing a few different stitches here, but you don't need to. It's totally open for however, you know, you want to do it. It's just artistically yours, you know. You know, we've had younger kids do it as well, and sometimes they just put little stitches all over the place wherever, and like just crisscross wherever, and even that is neat. And it's just such a feeling of accomplishment to see those physical stitches, you know, no matter what they look like, on your little character that you're stitching. It's just fun. So theoretically, you're just following the lines with stitches. So, I mean, I could see with, you know, with dementia, you would probably be maybe difficult to retain how to do different stitches and stuff. But again, if you just follow the lines, bring the needle up and put it back down in the line, it can be a dotted line or whatever the needle wants to do, as long as you're still on that line, and you're gonna have stitches, and it'll look pretty. All right, a couple more over here, and then I think I'm gonna weave in the end, and we'll start fresh on these letter B's. And you know, I'm not starting with, like, I don't have any knots on the back, but that's totally a legitimate way to start. Just tie a knot in your thread and start stitching right away. There's no big scary rules or anything with embroidery, for sure. Oh yeah, this is, Donna, one of my favorite things to do if I just need to just chill and not think of anything and just follow the line, and I find it very helpful when I just need like a moment. And that's actually the nice thing about embroidery too. You can just kind of let it go and pick it up, and you're gonna immediately know where you left off. It's not like, you know, you're not gonna have to look back at a pattern and be like, how many like knit stitches am I at? What row am I on? You don't have to worry about any of that. You just look at it and see where your thread is and be like, okay, that's where I ended up. So it's nice to just start and stop. So I actually like just having it around the house, just sitting undone. And if I need to just stitch like 3 stitches, you know, in a moment, like, then I can just sit and just stitch 3 stitches. And sometimes that's even just nice. And then I can just move on with whatever else I had to do. But sometimes you just need a breather, and it's a good thing for that. It calms me for sure. Takes my mind off of everything for a few minutes. All right, I'm weaving in this end, and then I'm gonna start fresh with the letter B's at the bottom. I'm not gonna just jump down here, and the reason, you know, you literally totally can, but I'm trying to do this in a way where I don't see the jump of thread on the that I'm doing on the back. I don't want to see that come to the front. So I'm going to start as if I don't have any stitches on here, and I'm going to do that with an away knot. Oh, and T-Bird Megan says, very fulfilling to watch a design come to life too. Yeah, there is something just awesome about like you creating something physical that, you know, exists, you know, in real life in front of you, you know, that you made. There's something very grounding and fulfilling about that. Sometimes I can make all the difference in a day, you know. think that's why I've been so consistent with these lives. This is the only time I craft, unless I get like a moment of vacation, like how I'm at my parents' house finishing up some projects. But it's just my time to just chill and get to hang out with you guys and stitch for a little. All right, so I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna start like 4 inches away. I know this is kind of weird, but I'm starting 4 inches away. I tied a knot at the end. This is gonna be my away knot. What that's doing is actually reserving thread for me that I can weave in later. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do my back stitch. I'm gonna forget that that's there, but you can see, so I have this little thing of thread. I'm gonna snip that away later and I'll be able to weave in that thread and I won't have any of those jumps, so that'll be nice. Oh, Anne says, that's what I like about drop spindle spinning. No pattern, just pick it up and go. Ugh, see, that's cool. I've tried that. That's one of those craft things that boiled to the top high enough that I had to try it right then. I had to try that drop needle or the drop spindle, like yarn spinning, and that is fun. I'd like to upgrade my tools for that and kind of play with that a little bit more. But that kind of ended up as a like, ooh, I get it now. I know how to do it, and now I can move on. Sometimes I just need to know how it works, and then that's fulfilling enough for me. And then other times I'm like, oh, I need to dive deep, and I'm still wanting to do that. So I don't know. I'll probably come back to the drop spindle thing again sometime. That really is fun. The thing that's boiling to the top right now is bobbin lace. I totally want to try bobbin lace. I checked out a few bobbin lace books from the library. Donna, yes, so we have some free patterns on our website. I think we have, if you go under, oh gosh, I don't know what it's under now, but if you just actually, there's a search on our website, Penguin and Fish, which is, over in our profile here. There's a search bar at the top. If you just type in freebies or just free, we have a section of a couple free patterns, and the raccoon one specifically. Oh, you said you knew a bunch of patterns already, or a bunch of stitches already. But our raccoon one specifically, you'll get emailed to you, I think like once a day, a new stitch. And a video of it and like a how to, and we have it on our blog as well. But that's a good one to just go through all the stitches again, or 14 different stitches, not all of them. But I think we have a couple, 3 or 4, maybe 3, a few free patterns there and a few other freebies in there. And then our kits have all the supplies. The fabric is pre-printed in our kits, in our new kits, most of our kits. Otherwise, you'll have an iron-on pattern and a traceable pattern in some of our older kits. But yeah, and then it has the floss instructions, the hoop, the fabric, needle, a little ribbon to decorate it when you're done. We're gonna make this one big stitch. Definitely not gonna have lasting thread here. I might actually do another away knot to do this letter B. Oh, thanks, JW. Says the French knots look great. We did a little demo a bit earlier on the 3 things you might be doing wrong with the French knots. So if you're having trouble with French knots, it may be one of those 3 things. So I should maybe download that and try and post it here. That probably won't be till next week. Taking it a little easy these last couple days here at my parents' house. That's been nice. It's starting to snow here, though. We got a little bit of snow falling. So I'm hoping we'll wake up to some pretty fresh powder here. All right, I think 3 more stitches in the top, and I'm gonna try and get like at least one of these little interior bloops. I think this orange is looking okay though. And we brought in that orange into here too. But look how, this is just so interesting. So the moment I put stitches next to the tinted area, the color tint just kind of fades to the back a little bit. Oh, JW says you're brave to be doing French knots without a stand to hold the hoop. I always set it down. When I'm doing French knots, I set it down on my table or on my lap. Because yes, you almost need a third hand. And that's why embroidery stands are great. I really should. I actually use some camera gear sometimes for an embroidery stand. But when I'm stitching with you guys, I always like doing it without, because not everyone can get their hands on an embroidery stand. It does make it easier and faster, though, to stitch for sure, because your embroidery's in one place being held up, and then you can have your back hand doing stuff and your front hand. You're not wasting a hand holding the hoop. So they are kind of nifty. All right, definitely gonna run out of thread. Ooh, dang, I might have to go a little late tonight. Guess I'm not stitching as fast as I thought here. Oh, use a clamp to attach to the edge of a table before I got a stand. That's a fabulous way of doing it. But yeah, I suppose with a stand, you're probably not hunched over quite as much. That's really why I should stitch with a stand more often. I just feel like I'm always hunched over with everything. All right, at least I can finish this top area. That's nice. Okay. You know what? I can get a couple more stitches out of here. I'm gonna do it. Let's do these 2 stitches here. So this is cute. So we'll still get that subtle little gradient in the letter B's, but it's just not as prominent. Dang, I might just even leave this little letter B till tomorrow. We do have Friday yet. So we could finish stitching this guy and work on some other stuff. I think we might actually do that. So not quite finishing it today. I think I might just end it here. I'm gonna weave in this end, and then I'll weave in our away knot. So I didn't forget about that. We still have this thread here. We'll weave that in as well. And then, yeah, I know I'm leaving you hanging with just 1 letter B left, but we do have tomorrow yet, so I think, so I cut off that away knot now, that knot on the front. But I think, yeah, we'll just save that last little letter B for tomorrow and work on some other stuff too. All right, so now that I cut that knot away, so now I have the loose thread, and now I'm gonna just weave in that end as well. And then I don't have to jump around. Then I didn't like jump from here to there where I could see that stitch. It's its own little island here. All right, and my thread's a little short here, so I'm actually gonna go weave in the end with the eye of the needle instead. So if your thread's a little short, that's a good thing you can do. It's a little kind of difficult, but it works when you just didn't quite have enough floss. Okay. So we're getting there. We're not quite all the way, but we are just about there. And I think it's looking really sweet. I do like that little, that gold, this orange at the bottom there. Oh, just tinted in there. That is fun. We're going to have to do that again with some other letters, I think. Just color in the letters and then outline them with the stitching. I think that just looks really cute. And we have some of that orange up in this wing here. I think that connects the oranges a little bit. I'm thinking it's pretty cute. Ugh, I like how it's turning out. So, all right, yeah, tomorrow will be the last day. Obviously, I'm hoping this won't take very long, and then we'll. I think we might sew this little thing into the sweater, and I can show you my sweater collar that I made. Otherwise, we might actually do some tatting. I'll have both things here tomorrow. We'll have a little combo of crafts, whole series of crafts tomorrow, I think. So awesome, you guys. So thanks again. I appreciate you popping in here. Monica, so I have colored the fabric with just some colored pencil. It's colored pencil just done very lightly, and then you put a paper towel on top and iron on top, and that takes the wax out and leaves the color. So it is just a plain old color pencil. You can also use crayon. So we've tinted, it's called color tinting. We've tinted his little shape here. We've put purple behind these wings, pink behind these wings, and then the little color here. The moment you put stitching on top, it really recedes and gets kind of subtle. Oh, JW says, if you can do tatting, can you do it towards the end? I don't get off work till the second half. Will do. That's great, because we'll have to finish this, and then I do want to stitch in that little note into that sweater, and then I think we'll end with some tatting. That will be fun. Sounds good. All right, you guys. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.